Aloha and a massive hello to everybody. How are we all doing? So I hope everybody's having a great day. This is a great Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. So again, 8th of May 2016, no trade calls or recommendations are responsible for those stuff. We're here for educational purpose only. And the fact that you're listening to this means you've already understood you accept all disclaimers. So what's going on? I mean, we had a fairly interesting week. We talked about, on Twitter too, the fact that we expected the dollar to put in a short-term bottom on Tuesday last week, so we got nice reversals off that. We kept on talking on Twitter about, sometimes the best trade on the board, you may already be in that trade, so you just have to be patient and let that trade play out, right? So a lot of interesting things, and we'll have to go see what happens going into the week, right? Now, keep in mind that we're 1 week away of option expiry, so most people will probably look to this to play out to see equities maybe start the week a bit stronger and then maybe die down, dip a little bit towards the back end of the week to rip up towards next week. So we'll have to see, but let's just focus on the levels. So what's going on here on the ES? Well, fairly classical action, and our range is still this 21, 2050, 2000, right? And we've been talking about the fact that we're looking for some kind of a healthy correction, and that this 2050 was going to be pivotal inside this range, right? Either for a test back higher or for a bigger correction back into the 2000 mark, right? Now, the way this is trading, we've got a little hold here, so it looks like the ES might need to fail from a higher level, right? We've come all the way back into mid. We've been chopping around here. We can't get any traction, right? We're getting a very bullish close here on the daily, so this would lead us to believe that if we're going to fail, we're going to have to fail from a higher level, especially because this retracement here, there are a lot of different levels of support, not only at the bottom of the range, but it's holding at mid. Now, I think most people would agree that if you look at the way this week had been trading, basically it was up to the bears to lose, not to the bulls to win, right? We've had some very, very aggressive action all week, and basically the bears just couldn't finish off the job on Friday, right? And we also see that basically recently on all these attempts towards the bottom, where the bears really had the market heavy, unable to finish the job, end of the day, bam, rallied back up. Market trading very heavy, unable to finish the job towards the end of the day. On the ropes, every possible excuse to smack it down, can't finish off the job, right? Then we hold here going into Friday. We hold heavy all Friday. We come back down into all these layers of support we've discussed on the bigger time frames, right? And then just can't finish the job up, right? We even posted the chart on the blog, and we said, look at this action. If this is the low of the day, there's a very good chance that we're going to go back to test the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way back higher. You see how we rotated back up, came back, we held this, and bam, we're still holding higher. So going into the open, it looks like we're still going to try and tackle some unfinished business. So it's the bears had a very good chance. It's not looking pretty, right? ES is not looking particularly strong, but what it is looking like is that the bears can't finish off the job at lows, so we may need to fail from higher levels. So going into the week, our outlook is going to be unchanged. We were still looking for correction. High range failed. We got that nice correction, but now it looks like mid is holding, so we need a little bounce, and then we'll see if that's going to be off to the races, or if we're going to fail from this level. Some people are going to be talking about some kind of head and shoulders, but little bounce and then move back down. So that's the way we're looking at the ES, right? Cable, a lot of people asking about cable. We've been talking about this for a long time. We thought, this was a very, very bearish action for the move back down on the extreme bearishness and end of the world kind of doomsday, or here into Brexit. We said we'd favor getting aggressively long, and then we'd expect the market to stay some kind in a choppy range, and we would not be surprised if we end up trading closer to the vote, right, which I think is the 23rd, something like that, of June, somewhere in mid-range, right? And it looks like that's what's trying to happen here. We got an aggressive move higher, everybody getting excited, and then we failed very aggressively at highs. It's a very bearish close. It's looking heavy. So again, everything is pointing to some kind of a downside action. Now this is very bearish, so you could even argue that, you know, we have to go all the way back down, even if we do so in a healthy manner, right? Coming back down, then a little pop, and then continuing the move lower. But we do have an awful lot of headline risk. So base case is still bearish. We still think that the edge is at the extremes, right? Not in the middle of this range, and we would expect, globally speaking, to see us trading more neutral around this middle of the range into the Brexit boat, right? And, you know, and again, those big reversals from the Tuesday holding quite nicely, right? You could see that also on Euro. We move back up, we close below, and, you know, we're moving quite nicely. Big test here. The way this is trading, you'd expect it to try and gap down in the open or early part of the week to try and probe lower. As long as these highs hold, right, we'd expect these 1340s once again to be the pivotal level going into the week. Possible pops here, aggressive break early in the week, 112 calling, 112 breaking, 110.50 in the cards, right? But the way this is trading, this is still a bullish rotation, but we think the way this is trading is very, very heavy. So we expect this mid-range to get tested, and we'd expect it to break. And then this is going to be the real interesting level in the week, 112, to see if it's just a healthy correction and upside rotation, or if we break and we start heading much lower again, right? But all those moves from that Tuesday holding, right? Aussie, we're looking for a move all the way back into these the two moving averages, the 100, the 200. Beautiful little move back down. Broke through this Momo line, very aggressive move. You really can't ask for more. If it's going to bounce anywhere, we'd expect it to bounce here as it starts hitting these moving averages and as it starts coming back into the 50 back of the rotation higher. If anything here, we would, unless something hits the wires, we would consider any bounce here to be corrective and this to continue trading fairly heavy. Very similar action on Kiwi, right? Came all the way back down. It's at the 50. We'd expect to see any bounce to be corrective and this to try and come all the way back down towards this 100 and this 200. Still pressure on going into the week. But again, if you are trading this intraday, this is an interesting place to take profits short term and reassess going into the week. CAD 129 pivotal, no change there. We got a nice little bounce off these 125s. This is really going to be linked to crude. We'll have to see what happens on crude, but you know, everything is pointing to a bigger squeeze trying to play out. It looks like this 129 is still being defended. Watch out here. You know, as long as this gets defended, you can get a little move back down, but especially if we see crude correcting a little bit more and we start to trip some stops and close above the 129, I would not be surprised to see this trading back in the 135s, right? So we'll have to see what happens there. USD CHF, again, you see it's the same move across the board, right? You got this nice little move on that Tuesday action back into the bottom of the range, clip some stops, close. You know, this is bullish for a retest higher, corrective moves in play on the dollar across the board. And you know, that's pretty much where we are. So the big question is, you know, the things we'll be looking at, you know, how long is this dollar correction going to go for? Does it have legs? It's going to be very interesting thing to look at, and we've looked at some of the key levels to watch, especially on those commodity currencies, you know, those bigger moving averages on the dailies. If those hold, bounce time. If they don't, then it could get very ugly. And on the ES, it seems that, you know, the bears couldn't finish off the job last week. Still heavy, still trading very heavy, but it looks like if it's going to fail, it'll have to fail from a higher level. Again, thanks for listening. As always, see you guys on Twitter. Another happy Mother's Day to everybody, and catch you guys soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, guys.